Hello, YouTube! Tonight we're starting off with a wonderful introduction from a wonderful person who has decided to come on by tonight.
I go? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Alas Seahorse. I'm a variety Vtuber musician and DJ. I also founded a charity team called Diverse Hearts and have been streaming on Twitch for we're getting close to 4 years now. That's weird to say.
That's a big
But yeah,
milestone.
it is. I'm
Especially
also a
considering...
full-time streamer, which I feel like needs to be said to clarify some stuff.
That's the dream for everyone.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that you've almost made it 4 years, considering the average lifespan of a VTuber before graduation is 2 years.
Yeah. I really love this is what it comes down to, and I can put in the work and all of the stuff, so I just keep doing it.
To my wonderful booklets, if you aren't already, please check out this amazing, amazing person. They do some amazing music.
Yeah, it's been interesting how much has actually been fulfilled of my life goals just by becoming a VTuber. Because one of my life goals was to be able to play an event like MagFest, which is the music and gaming festival for people that have not heard of it, and it's been going since the very early 2000s. It just hit its 20-year anniversary last year, I think. And it basically grew out of OC Remix and the associated remix culture. And so being a huge video game music nerd, it was always one of my things to be able to go and participate in that. And when I started VTubing, some of the people around me were like, hey, you'd probably be a good DJ. And so after a little bit of poking and prodding, they got me to do it. And it turns out that I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And I eventually got asked to play MagFest. So that was...
That's wild.
It's wild how much can happen just from doing something like Twitch streaming. And you won't even think about it going into it. Because I started and I was just like, I'm just going to play Fortnite as a waifu.
And look at you now, doing the locker bit.
Yeah. Now arcade bit.
Oh yeah, now the arcade bit.
Yeah.
And to everyone new that's stopping on by and everyone probably checking in for the first time, allow me to introduce myself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier.
Wait, no, wrong script. Hi, everyone.
Hello,
my name is Index
Markiplier.
Page. I'm the spirit of the library and patron of its namesake, and if that little intro isn't clear enough to you, I'm a voice actor. I've been a hobbyist voice actor for 15 years, hoping to one day go professional. I'm also a semi-professional author and artist and a professional GM. And that's my cat saying hi to you guys as well. But I wanted to say thank you to Seahorse and your community for stopping on by for the first episode back to the TranScribeCast. Now, for you who are new here, you're probably wondering, what is the TranScribeCast, as I turn on some music in the background. There we go. The TranScribeCast was originally a podcast that I wanted to make where I wanted to use this strange vocal talent of mine that I've developed to help out anyone and everyone in the community. I wanted to help out people with feminization, with masculinization, and when the podcast first started, that's kind of what we were going for. But as the podcast has grown and as I have grown as a creator, I've met so many other people who are struggling with vocal dysphoria in so many other ways. And the main goal of this podcast is no longer to just help people with feminizing their voice or masculinizing their voice. It's to help people with vocal tics. It's to help people that want to overcome a stutter, people that want to get good at public speech, people that want to overcome, hey, I don't like how nasally I sound. Is there any tips you have for that? And while I'm not a professional vocal coach, over the years I've learned some tips and tricks and some of my own techniques And I can impart some of that knowledge with the wonderful guests I have that come on by to help you along with those goals just a little bit. So the TranScribeCast is now no longer just about helping people that are trans, it's about helping anyone and everyone that might not like their voice. And I cannot thank you enough, C, for being my first guest back to this.
Oh, you're welcome. It's very much my pleasure.
Speaking of, do you have any, vocal work, or have you done any vocal training or anything like that?
Nope. Actually, no. You know what? I can't say that because I am a metal vocalist.
Oh, God.
Which is, I do not have professional training. I am self-taught, but, I taught myself to be able to do harsh vocals, let it go like...
And you could do that without
Satan. Stuff like that.
And they could do that without scratching their throat.
Yeah. Comes from the chest and manipulating the and actually you manipulate the air from your diaphragm via like your tongue and your mouth shape and things like that. You don't actually use your throat muscles for it.
Huh. I'll have to make note of that, because I did actually want to try and do a cover of Elfelt Valentine's theme song from Guilty Gear.
Yo, let's go.
That's also big shout out to the vocalist for that song, because she did both the pop and metal vocals for that.
Yep.
That's some range. But today's episode isn't really about any particular goals in mind. And I reached out to C with the hope for this episode in particular because I listen to C a lot. I tune into their streams a lot, and if there's one thing that I've learned from watching C is that C has just this amazing sense of zen and self-worth that's very rare. And that's kind of what one of the big goals to talk about is. It's not just about hey, I want to sound more like this, I want to sound more like that, I want to reach this goal and sound like this person. The ultimate goal, especially when it comes to vocals or vocal dysphoria, is just enjoying who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any input on that, or how you've just kind of grown into that? Because you've been at this for 4 years now.
Yeah, so I'd still like to feminize my voice a bit, but it's kind of it's more I'd like to add that to my range of things and less of I want to change the core of my vocals to more feminine. Because while I'm not a voice actor or anything, I do impersonations. I do have I created the narrator character, which kind of grew organically out of, again, Fortnite. It just started one day when I was today we find the seahorse in their natural habitat, collecting materials in Fortnite that they don't need because in the time of crisis they won't be able to deploy them and they will just die.
I love how deadpan Nary is.
Yeah, that's a combination of acting and also some model work. But yeah. So I've done things like that, and I've honestly just loved impersonating voices my entire life. So I guess you can again say I do have some vocal training, just learning to do things.
Oh, hi, Mark.
But I don't know. My roommate early on in streaming said that she really liked my voice and that I should be proud of my voice. And I never really necessarily thought there was anything wrong with my voice until I started going deeper into the trans community and being around people that wanted to change their voice so much for varying degrees of it too, because it could be female to male, it could be male to female. Those are going to be different goals. and everybody has their own goal sets and things like that. But
And there's different techniques involved for both.
right, and everybody has different physiology that makes some techniques not work or work differently. And one of the things too, when I was doing the learning metal vocals, that came up a lot is because of the way the vocal style works, everybody's going to sound different, and you can try to imitate another vocalist, their metal style, but chances are you can't do it without hurting yourself, because you're going to be doing something that their physiology allows them to do and yours does not.
Almost like a
So-
fingerprint, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very unique, interesting fingerprint. And so I just kind of put it off to the side, and I just kept streaming and doing what I was doing. And eventually I found that me being me was helping a lot of people with their voice dysphoria. And it helped a lot of people realize that, you know, they don't have to change this. They can just do all of these other things and still have their existing voice, and it's perfectly fine. You know, it's just, it is an option. It's not one that's presented quite often enough, but, you know, and you can take your time and you can have your own journey. All of this stuff very personal.
Exactly. That's kind of like the big thing. It's all about your own journey. It's not about looking at other people's journey and seeing where they are on the journey. There's more to finding your voice than just looking at someone else and being like, oh, this person, this voice actor is someone I really want to sound like. Yeah, but they've had their voice for a long time, and they've been at that for a long time. And
Yep.
you, especially if you're just starting out, you shouldn't expect to be at that level right away. And God, I should really apply these own self-worth techniques of mine to my art and writing. God damn.
Yeah.
But
Do as I say, not as I do.
yeah. There's more to this than just, hi, objectively a cat. There's more to this than just reaching the goal.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to being you than just reaching a goal with your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one lesson I need to impart from this entire podcast, it's that it's okay to go at your own pace. It's okay to not reach the goal on day one. Like I said, before I was trans, before I even got into voice acting or anything like this, my voice was kind of like in this like nasally, kind of gravelly, mumbly area all the time, and I really didn't vibe with it too well. But then I played a lot of JRPGs and just read voices on my own over the course of the time, and just kind of naturally smoothed my voice out. And once I started getting into being trans and seeing a vocal coach and getting some of the lessons imparted into me, I was able to get my voice into this range now, where it's just kind of sounds as natural as any of the other voices I'm able to do. But all of that effort took me, personally, years. And I still have days where I feel dysphoric over my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because there are times where the path can be a little rough. Just know that there's always going to be a bench around the corner for you to take a sit down on and enjoy some breaks.
Yep. Yeah. That's also a good thing that I don't think a lot of people really stop to consider, is you don't have to go at this every single day with your full force. In fact, if you do that, you're going to burn out, and you're probably going to make yourself miserable, and you might even hurt yourself. And again, it's that everybody has their own journey. Everybody has different pacing. Like it applies to so many things. Like a person asked me how to do metal vocals not too long ago, and then within like 2 days they expected to be able to like do metal vocals, and I'm just like, that's not that's not how this works. There are muscles that need to be built up, and that's a month-long process in order to start to do this correctly. Like, there's just a lot that goes into a lot of these things. Same with art, same with music, same with so many things. You just got to give yourself time. And in the modern world where everything is around now, buy, like,
Agreed.
it's hard to really stop and consider that not only is this not, instant or short term, but this could be years. This could be 10 years. Like if you look at the voice actress Ellen McLean behind the beloved Gladys and a lot of other characters, and also brilliant opera singer and stage actor. She's been doing this for like 40 years now. Like when she played Gladys in Portal, that was probably 30 years into her career.
Yeah.
Like that's not, and I think perspective is being lost a lot on how much effort a lot of people put into this and how long they've developed it. Because like I said, like
people see the
metal
posts,
voice,
not
the
path.
metal voice I've been learning that and honing that since 2003.
Jeez.
So over 20 years now. And that wasn't a constant thing either, because I stopped for an extended period of time. And of course, when I did that, the muscles like lost strength, and I had to work at that and build it back up so that I didn't hurt myself when I was doing it.
Yeah, like I
So,
broke a 7-year art hiatus.
Hell yeah.
And like a Bridgewater puts it pretty damn well. It can be okay to not be okay. The goal should be to be better on average over time.
Mm-hmm.
The goal shouldn't be an end goal. The goal should be a never-ending goal of your average going up.
Yeah, it's a journey of improvement. One of the things that's been interesting to me is, as a Twitch streamer, most people have a goal of becoming partner. And I had that goal, and along the way, somebody that I ended up working with that does community management for a game focused on Twitch streamers told me that most people that hit partner just kind of fizzle out and disappear because their only goal with streaming was to hit Twitch partner. And once they got there, they didn't know what to do because it wasn't built. It was a goal about attaining this one thing. There wasn't a holistic plan. There wasn't, I'm going to keep improving or I'm going to keep doing this or that. It was just, I'm going to reach this. And then when they reached that, they had no idea what to do. And they just kind of, got frustrated and because, numbers start to drop, things happen, all of that kind of stuff. It's hard. Like, this stuff is very, very hard, and it applies everywhere. Like, if your goal is just one thing, what do you do when you get to the goal?
I think
like where's
a good mentality to have about that is don't put it in your mind as a goal.
Yeah.
Put it in your mind as an achievement to maybe get, and over time.
Yep. It's a step. It's not a goal.
Animation Soda Pop has a question. Hello, how are you doing? How do you stay motivated to do voice training when and if you have so much to do? So that's just a matter of, depending on what your goal with the voice training would be, that's just a matter of just getting it in naturally at work and all that, but also keeping in mind that there should be times when you're not training your voice. If you're pushing yourself to the limit that your throat hurts and you strain your throat, you may irreparably damage your vocal cords. If you push yourself past the limit, you could develop polyps, which permanently damage your vocal cords unless you get them removed with surgery. And it's just something you should you know, like maybe you're having a conversation with someone and just like try and change your voice up a little bit. Or say you get a telemarketer call, speak as if you're someone else. I do that all the time. Like, hi, we're looking for this person. Can we talk to this person? Yeah, sure. Hold on a second. Let me go get him. And then I do like the whole School of Rock thing where he fumbles the phone with himself.
It's great. That's like what I do to Discord scammers.
Yes, hello, this is Ted Schneebly. How can I help you?
It's just a matter of finding, and I should really apply this to art and writing myself. It's just a matter of putting aside some time. Like, I'm trying to break away from doing just gaming now to doing this podcast again. And I'm also putting time into 2 campaigns.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Tachikoma? Is that a Tachikoma? Oh my god. Thank you for stopping by, Tachikoma Kudo. Welcome on in. And like I'm breaking away from being just a variety game streamer and going back into the podcast in full. And now going into being a GM for 2 different campaigns of Fabula Ultima. And I'm doing voice acting in both of those. But not only that, I want to get into art and writing streams. But there's more to being a streamer than just constantly streaming as well. And this can be applied to art, this can be applied to writing, this can be applied to anything that you're doing as a skill.
Yep.
There are times where you should put it to the side and do something else. There are times when you... Oh, thank you, Saribot. Basebot. There are also times where you should maybe take a day to yourself and just do something alone. Recharge your battery. Or maybe hit up one of your stream friends and be like, hey, do you want to just hang out? Like, not even on stream, just like, hey, do you just want to hang out on a call for a few hours? Because sometimes that's like one of the best ways that you can like find new breakthroughs. Just not putting a goal in front of yourself for the day, like, or not putting a task in front of yourself for the day and just naturally going through the motion.
Yep. Yeah, because your brain needs downtime in order to process everything, and that's something that isn't really talked about. Like, your brain keeps going all the time, and when you're learning things and you're challenging yourself and you're, doing all of this stuff, you have to give your brain time to internalize it. Yeah, because if you're not internalizing the things, like truly letting your brain commit it to long-term memory, then you're just slowly displacing everything and moving which section is doing what around, and not giving yourself the brain to have your time to have an epiphany to truly go, oh, is that why that happens? Oh, and that's that moment where, like, you wake up in the middle of the night and that happens. It happens like that because your brain finally has time to rest and actually like recuperate and do things like that. I would also like to echo something in chat, which is that because this is what I did too with metal vocals. I was working in a data center, so that meant that nobody could really hear me most of the time, which means that I could freely practice like all of the technique stuff that I wanted to. I had to be careful though, because again, very loud. But if you have time like that you can spend working on voice training or things that you're doing, that's a really good way to get some extra time in your day doing something that you love and that you're passionate about and that's important to you.
Yeah, and Kairat makes a good point here as well. Just because your job is something you love doesn't mean you need to only do it as your job. You got to take time to do as you please. Most artists we know have their commissions that they're getting paid for, but they also take a break from their commissions to doodle things in their head, and they're doing art either way, but it's a very different brain space. Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing with that too is that if you're just pushing your commissions hard, you're not stopping to doodle in different styles or take a while to analyze someone else's art or even just take a break. I have a problem with, like, I'm a streamer, and I have now turned almost every single thing that I do into work. So it really doesn't matter what I'm doing at this point. I'm doing some kind of work, and that's problematic. Like, it's good in some ways, but I would say for the most part, it's actually detrimental. Because now when I'm listening to music, I'm doing DJ work. When I'm doing DJ work, I could be doing commission work. I could be doing all sorts of things. When I'm playing video games now, most of the time it's like, can I play this on stream? Kind of playing video games.
Yeah, there have been a lot of games where I'm just like, do I save this for stream or do I just do this on my own?
Yep. Yeah. It can become it can become all-consuming if you're not careful with, things that you're doing, depending on what they are and what your goal is with them.
And Soda Pop, another thing to be mindful of is to avoid the trappings of giving yourself too much time to do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole too much of a good thing is bad. Like, let's say you're using a lot of your spare time to play video games, but then you're like, hey, I'm a little bored right now, but video games aren't really as fun. Or like, hey, I'm a little bored right now, but I don't want to play games at the moment. I should probably do something else. But then you try to do something else, and your brain's like, no, you should go do this. This is how you get your good brain go-go juice. And it's a matter of enriching yourself in multiple ways and trying out different techniques or trying out different things at different times and not keeping the end goal in mind. Like, there's a lot more to this. For some reason my music stopped. Anyways,
Stuff happens.
Gotta love Spotify. Want a break from the ads? But yeah, especially when it comes to wanting to train your voice. Don't just go in, day out, thinking, okay, time to do the training, time to do the training, time to do the training, time to do the training. Because then your brain's just going to be like, okay, I'm only going to be doing my voice thing when it's training time. And then your brain is going to start wiring itself to think, okay, we can only voice stuff when we improve voice. No other voice is good voice. And that could be damaging. And you should just kind of have some goal in mind of like, I would like to sound a little bit more like this in this amount of time. In 3 months, I'd like to be at this area. Hi, Selfie. If what I'm saying is making sense, please let me know it. But if I'm confusing any of y'all, please let me know. I went full girl mode today, and all my roommates was being kind and was happy to see me dressed as... Aw, well, that's good, Millie.
Oh, that's really nice.
And yeah, you've provided a lot of like wonderful input on this as well today. See, there's a lot of stuff that I would not think to say myself because I don't have the perspective of someone that's gotten into full time on this. And as much as I would like to go into full-time voice acting or full-time streaming or all that, there's so much else that I want to do that if I were to make any of these things my full-time, it might start feeling less like a job that I absolutely love and more like a job with chores attached. But that's how my brain is wired. And your brain, to anyone listening, might be wired a little differently. But one of the big goals here should be to understand how your brain works, especially when it comes to vocal dysphoria. And that's where we go back to the whole origin of the topic of find the goals that work for you, but don't call them end goals.
Yep, they're steps. They are places to mark progress. They are a part of the journey. They're to a certain extent there's not necessarily a true end goal because there's the thing about, X number
Oh,
of
hi,
hours
Mark.
to achieve mastery, but like just because you achieved mastery doesn't mean that you stop learning or that suddenly you're done with the thing. It just means that you just hit a point along the journey.
Yeah. Like, a good analogy would be looking at some of the yoga masters of the world. Like, have you seen what some of those guys can do?
Yeah.
But then you
I mean,
ask them, like, do you think you have anything else to learn? They say, yeah, I'm always learning every day and always improving on my mastery.
Yep. Yeah, I think of a lot of the musicians that I've looked up to over the years, and they don't stop learning. Every single day they're challenging themselves, they're learning new things, and it may not even be about guitar. Like, they're just always learning and enriching and just continuing to
Sometimes
grow.
experimenting with new genres, sometimes
Yeah.
new techniques.
Yep.
I mean, you probably haven't heard of this little indie band, but look at the Beatles, for example.
Yeah, I think I heard about them. They did that one song.
The Yellow Submarine,
People
yeah.
liked it. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Also, another big thing, stay hydrated if you're going to do voice acting or if you're going to do vocal training.
Yes.
I cannot stress this enough. One of the second biggest lesson, self-care. If you damage your vocal cords, it's going to feel like you have tried to gargle a fiberglass smoothie with a shot of cactus needles.
Well, I'm glad I haven't experienced that. That's awful.
It does not feel good. I've blown out my vocal cords once before. Never again, and I will always advocate. Keep ice water and room temp water on hand and treat your throat as needed.
Room temp is very important.
Ice water for when you're done for the day, room temp for while you're doing it.
Yep.
And always a glass of warm tea with honey mixed in, if you need a little extra care.
Yep, that's really good. Throat coat is another good tea. I've forgotten what the specific herb or root is in it, but there's a lot of different versions of it available. And it's very similar to essentially just getting a cup of tea with honey.
And Bridgewater says, you also don't need mastery in that sense. That's 10,000 hours to be one of the absolute best in the world. Odds are you don't need or want that. Just learn things, improve. And yeah, even that, you could become a master at something without the 10,000 hours, but that's like a whole different topic to talk about.
Yeah. That's essentially like trying to define what mastery is. And mastery, like 10,000 and mastery and being the best in the world, I would say that's not actual mastery, but it's a definition. But you get
nice.
It's the journey, and your goal may not be whatever that quote mastery goal is. So you may get a little ways into it and like, hey, I can do what I want. Like plenty of people are happy learning to play the guitar and learning to play just basic punk songs. Is that a mastery of the guitar? No, there's still a ton of stuff that you can learn. But can you enjoy yourself? Can you have a good time? Can you play songs? Can you play with other people? Yeah, you can do all of that stuff. Like that's still a point that just that might be the end of your journey in guitar, so that you can go learn other things, maybe another instrument, maybe you want to do something totally outside of music. And
yeah, Alice has a good point here. The 10,000 hours thing could be a bit of a rabbit hole myth in itself, yeah. Like, depending on what your goal is, or like one of your stop points are, you might not need those 10,000 hours. Like, as an artist, I don't really care about absolute perfect anatomy. I don't care about realism. I don't care about soft shading. There are things that I don't like. There are things that I don't vibe with trying to create myself. I can look at other people doing that in art and admire it. But for me, I prefer more stylized anatomy. I prefer more exaggerated positions. I prefer more silly color usage. Like, look at Soul Eater, for example. Or look at Monogatari. I love the way they use colors and like simple shape language. Like, yeah, they understand what's realism and they like have studied realism. But I can understand at this point what goes where. But that's something that I've developed through studying. But the same can be applied for voice work as well. And honestly, the ultimate goal, like your quote-unquote ultimate goal, should be being comfortable with who you are. Being comfortable with how far you've come and where you've come from and where you're going. Because your journey is never over. And you can have those stop points along the way. But when I started my journey, I never thought I would get to this point. I never thought I would be happy with how I sound. Like, I like my normal speaking voice now. But there are times where people want to hear me talk like this, or I have to use a voice like this, and that's okay. But when I started my journey, I never would have wanted to sound like this again. And I've come to accept that this is all a part of who I am, and now I can just use any of the voices I have at my disposal to a lot of different things. And that should be your ultimate goal. And it shouldn't be the stopping goal. It should just be, I feel comfortable as me, because I'm the only me.
And it really just gives you more forms of expression too. It's just more ways to communicate.
Does anybody have any questions so far? Would anybody like to say anything? Have any experiences yourself? Say, do you have any personal experiences during your little during your voice journey that you'd like to share? Any like big moments or big silly moments or fun things?
I mean, like, one of the things that like really, I mean, like, when I figured out that I could actually like metal growl, and like do that, and it sounded like good, that was just a huge moment, because it kind of snuck up on me. Like, sometimes when you're doing things like this, it's so incremental that you don't necessarily stop and look until like one day you just kind of are like, wait, really? I can do the thing? Or somebody like just says like, wow, that sounds really good, and you haven't really stopped to self-evaluate in a while, and then you go and listen, you're just like, oh dang, oh, the work is paying off, kind of thing. Like, those are good times.
Yeah, if you ever listen back to your old self, like from 5 years ago or something,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I sound entirely different.
Yeah, the other thing, actually, I think one of the biggest things for me was learning to be comfortable with my voice, especially when like recording. And funny enough, one of the things that got me used to that was Rock Band. Because when you played Rock Band, you heard yourself constantly if you were doing vocals, like constantly. And so it just kind of happened over time with that. And then when I became a streamer, it was even more important that I was able to listen to my own voice and just exist in some form of comfort with it. You don't necessarily have to enjoy it or think that it's, you know, good or anything like that, but you have to be able to sit and listen to it and not be actively uncomfortable with it. And that's a difficult thing. That's a very difficult thing. So just being able to do that, honestly, was a big deal.
Yeah, one of the things that I've struggled with over the course of my journey was I had to do most of this on my own, because I got into all this stuff before I got into VTubing. So I had to learn a lot of these lessons on my own. I had to listen to myself back and doubt myself. I had to constantly bemoan myself to those around me and get assurances. And I wish I had just stopped moping about it and just looked at how well I had done in the meantime. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let's see what Soda here says. Thank you very much, Paige. Thank you, Seahorse. I will take all this advice and apply it as needed to becoming the non-binary trans woman I want to be. Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Alice says, I suppose to share, voice is kind of a weird thing for me too because I haven't really properly voice trained. Over years, my voice range drifted what felt good and comfortable, and a lot of people seem to compliment it or find my voice nice. But I know there's a lot of room to improve my control and range. Yeah, that's kind of like the big goal of this episode is like, understand where you're at and understand if you want to stretch those goals or just enjoy where you're at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one right answer to this question.
Yep.
Do you want to
Yeah.
take a break on the bench for a little longer? Do you want to keep pushing yourself? Do you want to be a wacky, crazy voice person like me? I don't recommend that, because...
No, I don't either. There's actually, I can do kind of a weird clown voice, and I've been told repeatedly whenever I do it on stream to never do it again because it's unnerving. It's more like a horror clown kind of thing. It's just unsettling.
You're talking about the Geneva Convention. I think you mean the Geneva Suggestion.
Let's see if we can do it.
Alice's reaction.
Kids! It's Seahorse! It's Seahorse time! We're gonna have a good time, aren't we, kids? Yeah?
Oh, what a perfectly timed ad break. I couldn't pause it.
Oh my god.
It's Seahorse time. Ad break.
Ad break.
It's Seahorse time! And now it's time to dance with our special guest, Elijah!
A bit of Pee Wee Herman in that voice. Yeah. I also can turn it into like Kefka from Final Fantasy VI sometimes.
God, I kind of hope they do a remake of that game.
Is it unsettling in exactly the right way? Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's like when you
Final Fantasy
know that it's supposed to be unsettling, it makes a lot more sense. But when it's just like, no, stop, please, no, nightmares. My roommate actually told me once, don't do that when the window's open because you're probably going to give a kid in the neighborhood nightmares.
That's how you know you've made it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I have my window open, so I hope I did not give a child nightmares.
Speaking of Final Fantasy VI, I do kind of hope, like, this is getting off topic for a moment. I kind of hope that they do a remake of it and get the voice actor they picked for Dissidia as Kefka. Because he's like, that was a good voice for him.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard that in a long time. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to that, but yeah.
Selfie.
I think
we're gonna have a good Applebee's ad.
It would have been perfect if it was a Red Robin ad.
Yum. I haven't seen any of those ads in a while.
Yeah, they I don't know how much they advertise anymore.
That's what I love about this podcast. We can organically go from the topic on hand to talking about Red Robin.
Back to funny seahorse noises. I mean, like, Red Robin is basically like part of my branding at this point, so it's not necessarily off topic. One of my stream toys, I have a setup that'll do voice interaction. So when I say something, it'll respond to it, and when I say Red Robin, it then plays yum. And like, I go out to Red Robin like every Saturday, almost every single Saturday for the last like 2 years. And even before then, it was still like frequently. And the goal, like, one of my goals now is actually to like figure out how to be sponsored by Red Robin. It's kind of like one of those.
I see you're on your Game Grumps arc.
Yeah, pie in the sky kind of like. Wouldn't it be funny if I could actually make this happen?
Let's see. Would anybody in the audience like to share any of your experiences you've had that might help anyone else in the audience, or anyone have any questions for myself or C? This seems like the perfect time to start fielding some questions.
Or if they pay you, you're already doing it for free. Look. Fair point.
Kyrop is always sassy, and I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of my dear librarians right there.
They are good people.
Let me take a moment to stretch. Oh, much better. I think one of the other things that I really want to drive home about today's episode is understand it's okay to have these doubts during your journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to think, I'm never going to reach this spot. I'm never going to reach this goal. I'm never going to... That's okay.
Yeah.
Don't get hung up on it, though.
Sometimes, too, that can lead to discovery of another goal. Because, as you said, you don't necessarily have to reach those original goals. But you may find other goals along the way that are considerably more important.
Yeah.
And sometimes going to those
Oh, hi, Mark.
and then coming back can allow you to achieve the original goal, or maybe you just realized that it wasn't important in the first place. So, I'm going to use the comment from Death Reaper, though, to talk about something that's kind of interesting about the journey and my journey as a VTuber and kind of like all of this stuff. So,
Yeah.
Death Reaper says, and I am the Ancient One. And I am the Ancient One. And I bring this up because I'm 42 years old.
Never would have guessed.
Yeah, being a 42-year-old VTuber is very interesting. There's a surprisingly large number of VTubers that are in their late 30s. There's a much smaller number that are in the 40s. But it was, I hid it for the longest time. And because like originally, you know, when VTubing started being a thing, so much of it was built around like the HoloLive of idea of like you have to hide who you are, you can't talk about your age, you can't talk about all of these things. And I quickly learned that that was dumb. And like one day I just finally, my roommate was just like, just tell people how old you are. Like there are some conversations you have where like this is actually relevant. And so I kind of started doing that. And what I discovered was that when I did that, it was encouraging to other people because it started to break down the myth of, you know, you can't do this if you're over so many years old. And like it's kind of like one of those things too of a lot of people think with voice training like it might be too late, like you're you know, your muscles won't do it or your mind is too sad or you're whatever, but that's not true.
Agreed.
Just like with HRT, like people are like, oh, I can't transition and do HRT because I'm too old for it, which is also not true.
There is never, the only time is that it's too late is when you're no longer alive.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, there's a story I have from an old friend about how when I was getting into art after my 7-year hiatus, I'm like, maybe it's too late for me to get back into it. Maybe it's been too long for me. They told me when they were going to art school, there was someone in the class who was in his early 60s. And he had never picked up a pencil to draw before, aside from when he was doing doodles in elementary school.
Oh, wow.
So he had gone almost 6 decades, 2 generations of time without drawing. And he became the top student in the class.
Yeah.
It is never too late.
And I think one thing that people, when they say it's too late, they mean that it may be a bad time. Not that it's too late, but it may be a bad time. I always think back to this one video that I watched where a musician was talking about, is it too late to start a band and become a full-time musician? And his comment was, well, I mean, if you're in your late 30s and you have kids and a mortgage, it's a bit late, you know, but in reality, you could still do it. That's just probably not the right time to pursue it and to do it, you know, because you get a few years down the line and the kids are off in college and, granted, this isn't a realistic statement anymore. Your mortgage is paid off. And so suddenly you have more resources available, and that may actually be something that you can pursue. And it's not that it was too late, it's just that that wasn't the right time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bridgewater says exactly. It's not too late, it's just I'm too busy and have other responsibilities right now.
And that can be applied to a lot of things. It can be applied to music, that can be applied to voice acting, that can be applied to art, it can be applied to writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of understanding how much overhead or how much like energy you need to dedicate to this thing to understand, is it the right time for me to do this at this moment? For voice acting, it's really not that difficult. Because it's just a matter of doing stuff with your voice. You might not have the right equipment for recording at the moment, but hey, if you're getting into voice acting and you get a call back and they're like, hey, we'd like you to come into the studio, they're going to have the equipment on hand.
Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter, too, is that in most cases, to do auditions and things like that, you can get something like a Samsung Q2U for $70 and you're fine.
Yeah, you don't need to...
You don't need much.
You don't need to go down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I gotta get the $700 high quality mic that eliminates all white noise from the 25-mile radius by applying this like EMP pulse to stop all the bugs. Like, no.
No.
What they're looking for is not the quality of your equipment. They're looking for the quality of you. Same can be said for art. Same can be said for music. Same can be said for anything that's worthwhile doing.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where you have to realize that if the company is looking for your microphone quality and not your quality as a voice actor or your talent, you don't want to work with them.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Oh, we're only taking applications if you have this type of equipment, or we're only taking an art if you're using this program. Oh, you want to work for our game company? Oh, you have to use this program. Okay, bye.
Are you not familiar with using Unity? Oh, you only do Unreal Engine? Oh, I'm sorry, you can't work here. We only do that.
Okay then.
You don't have an XLR. You don't have an XLR setup for your microphone? Oh yeah, no, you're out. You're out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, Kyrop, that's fair.
I want to work at Unity. Do you have any Unity experience? I don't like Unity.
Yeah. I work exclusively in Unreal Engine. Why are you applying here? Because they wouldn't take me. You were
Wrong time to drink water. Fuck. But yeah, I guess the big takeaway lesson from today's episode is 1. Understand that your goal is not the end goal. Never have an end goal in mind. 2. Don't put 24/7 into this. Don't put 24/7 into any creative endeavor. Unless you're like being paid 6 figures a week or a month to do the thing, don't put 24/7.
Still not worth it. Still not worth it.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, as somebody that worked in the tech industry and was essentially a tech bro and watched that kind of mentality up close, no, it's extremely harmful, and it needs to stop on so many levels it's so bad.
We need to stop
Anyway.
burning the candle at 4 ends when there's only 2 ends of the candle.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be burning both of those either, because you're already going to be burning yourself out just from 2 different ends at the same time. Yeah, the primary things you should do 24/7 are breathing and having a heartbeat.
You know, those are my 2 favorite hobbies.
Those are good hobbies, especially when you don't have to breathe manually.
And the 3rd lesson from today's episode, it's okay to have bad days.
Yep.
It's very much okay to have those bad days. Because that's just a point of your journey.
Yeah.
And the final point for today's episode would definitely be find the time to do it on your own time. Don't force the time,
Yep.
but also understand that you want to have that time.
And I would like to add not just time, but your own terms. There are going to be times that you can't do it with your own terms, but you should be setting a lot of framework around how you're doing these things, because that's equally as important as giving yourself time to do them.
Yeah. I think that's like the best. Like, the moral of today's episode is self-care and understand you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And don't pick an end goal to end
Yeah.
on. Pick a stop point to take a break at and look at where your next point is. Hell, maybe you reach a goal with your voice training. Maybe you reach a goal with your feminization or your masculinization. And then you're like, well, I've reached this point. But now I see 3 paths before me. I could go down this route, I could go down that route, or I could go this way.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, I've started to masculinize my voice. Do I want to sound more sultry? Do I want to sound more gravelly, or do I want to sound more burly? And then it's just a matter of deciding, once you hit that one little point, where you want to go from there.
Yep.
hi, Dreki. Perfection is never attainable, but better than you were yesterday is always possible. I'm trying to remember what the analogy was. You should never pursue perfection, but
Yeah,
you
never.
can perfect your pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the moral of this episode. You have such an impressive voice range. Thank you, Steve. And thank you for the stretch, Millie. Do you have any sage wisdom you'd like to impart? Oh, senpai of mine?
You just lost the game.
Fuck! See, if I had my stream deck at the ready, I would do like my little sound transition where it's just like da 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 da.
I mean, like, to go with the theme, give yourself a break. We all work really hard, and there's a lot of pressure put on us that we've just learned to just not even think about. And yes, there is such a thing about as giving yourself too much of a break, but really kind of stop and evaluate what you're doing and when you're doing, and maybe that voice in your head that's telling you like, hey, you really shouldn't do this, is telling you that for a reason, and
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't do the thing. And honestly, if it's a social obligation and the people on the other end, unless for some reason you are like the key to making the whole thing happen and there's like some gigantic catastrophe that doesn't occur, you know, like if you just don't want to go have dinner with people because your mental health isn't there, then like, say no. Give yourself a break. And if they don't understand, then maybe give yourself a break from them too.
Yeah, another thing is, if you don't give yourself a break, and if you're constantly, like, getting in your own way, it can become very apparent of what the obstacles are, and they can become all that more difficult to surmount.
Yep.
Like, I've developed my own little art and writing block again. Like,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, I used to do it day in, day out. But I ran into a manager at the time who turned out to be a transphobe, so fuck that guy.
Lovely.
Who stopped me from my one perk at the job of doodling at work. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna be on my phone playing games like the other girls at the desk. If I've done everything else and, like, there's no one else that needs help at the moment, do you mind if I just doodle in my sketchbook? Yeah, sure. And then he lets me know a couple of months later, yeah, none of this. No more of this. No more picking up a pencil unless it's to write down someone's order.
Yikes.
And that's kind of like where the block began. And now it's like, well, I haven't drawn in this many days or this many weeks, or I haven't written in this many days or this many weeks. See? See?
What the hell? Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Snake?
Okay.
Snake? Snake!
Snake!
Oh, I got the ping up. Multi-V died.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a thing. It made it most of the way through, though, so...
You know what? I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of the things that people forget is that VTubing is very cutting edge, and this is all really, really early in the tech. Like, this stuff hasn't been around that long, and so much of it is
Scuff.
done by hobbyists.
But back to what I was saying, like, I have developed my own block, and I've developed it to such a point that it's now harder for me to get around, to the point that I need someone to help me get over. I need someone to help me overcome it. It's like, I recognize how I can overcome this block, but it's a matter of, I want to, but I'm scared to, and putting up a bigger block as a result, which is why I need someone to be, like, at my back to, you know, kind of like pushing me along the bike with the training wheels on until I start getting the pedals going again. And then it's going to be, hey, I can do this easily.
Yep.
And that can be said for any skill that you're blocking yourself on.
Yep. I mean, I'm working through a DJ block right now. I've had a horrible time doing DJing for months now, probably getting close to a year. I have no idea where it started or why. It just happened. And I have some ideas about how to fix it, but they require a lot of time to do, and I haven't had the time to do it, you know? So it's this weird thing of, how do you prioritize that? Like, you have a block and this is important, but so are all of these other things.
How do I prioritize the time to self-care and break the block when I don't know the steps to take to break the block? Or how do I ask for help?
Well, in my case too, it's just like, there are all of these other things too that I also find joy in, and that aren't a block, and that do help me day to day. And it's weird, because it's not like I don't care about DJing or don't still love DJing. It's just that there's a block there, and there's all of these other things that, like, basically when it gets down to it, all of the VTubing and Twitch streaming is one job, and all of the DJing is a second job. So you're constantly trying to maintain a balance between two jobs. And when one of those jobs suddenly has this roadblock, it's really easy to just kind of, wouldn't say ignore it, but like put it to the side while you focus on all of the other stuff.
Yeah. And really, the best thing to do is hard to say, because everyone's a little different. How you may break your own block is different from how I may break mine. Like, Oceanax has said this multiple times. If you have an op block, the best way you can overcome it is just have a goal in mind and just draw towards that goal. And just like decide what you want to draw that day. And I'm like, I know what I want to draw, but that's not helping me with the block. Because there's more to this than just that. It's because the blocks can be different shapes, the blocks can be different sizes, and how you overcome the block can be different.
Yep.
Getting around the block might be easier than climbing it. Breaking through the block might be easier than going around it. And honestly, if we were able to, I would wish for a world where everyone would be able to pursue their creative endeavors without any burnout. For as long as they wanted.
Yep.
Let's get the AI and the robots to do the mundane tasks, not the other way around.
Not the other way around. That's right. That's right.
Oh, I'll have you know I'm a professional prompter. How about you go prompt this thing to go fill some fucking orders for me?
Yeah. I have very not nice things to say about AI, but I don't think that's surprising.
I do too. I feel so sorry for Erica Lindbeck.
Oh?
The voice actor for Luna from Hell of a Boss, and also,
Oh.
also Futaba from Persona 5.
Yeah.
People were making AIs with her voice as a cover, and she's like, hey, can you please stop this? And then people were doubled down on it, like, nah, we could do this. It's like, she asked you not to.
One of my, I hate to use this word, but crusades recently has been against all of the streamers that are using things like Tengia that are full of AI voice impersonations, so that you can just put words in their mouth, like literally.
Yeah,
some of it's just like, okay, it's Optimus Prime, but that's still an actor that did that role and it's near and dear to him, and he probably doesn't feel great. And then there are other people like David Attenborough, whose voice is iconic and has explicitly said, like, do not do this, and it's all over all of that stuff. And how do you and it's really disappointing too when I see voice actors that are on Twitch doing that stuff. Like, that's when it's just like, really? It's just disappointing, and it's so hard to know what to do about any of this anymore.
Honestly, it's gonna go through the same thing that happened to crypto and NFTs.
Yep.
It's going to it grew too fast. It has no other food source other than itself to eat now.
Yeah,
And
actually, that's quite
it's only a matter of time
literally
until it
true.
can't eat anymore.
Yeah. For those out there that aren't aware, basically the way all of this works is by gobbling up large amounts of information, and essentially ChatGPT especially has basically reached the end of what it can gobble up. It's kind of interesting.
It's
So
only
now they're
started to
trying to
gobble up
figure
when
out-
it's already put out itself.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Who knows? But
Like, someone described AI in this way as like an alligator or a crocodile. Technically, they will never die until they have just reached a size where they can't eat enough to live.
yeah, basically. Yeah.
And
It's interesting. We'll see where it goes.
hopefully it ends
And-
soon, because that's another way that
Yeah.
a lot of people may feel their voice journey will never be complete, or their voice journey will have obstacles along the way, because this stupid technology that can produce, like, oh, this quote-unquote angelic sounding voice that's like, oh, I can easily sound this way and absolutely use the words for you. It's like, you're defeating the purpose.
John T mentions one that I saw the other day. There is a recording found of a Facebook meeting where they were talking about how they can't legally do what ChatGPT did to get all of the data to make ChatGPT function. So how can they compete with it? And you just kind of have to full pause when Facebook is wondering about ethics of something like that.
Man, one of the megacorps of the planet's like, hey, ethically speaking, this thing's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like Megacorp here that's known for all of this kind of stuff is just like, oh, yo, that's too much even for us. Woof.
That's like that's like the Joker saying even he's afraid of the IRS.
exactly.
I may have murdered a load of people, Bats, but even I pay my taxes.
Yeah, I kind of wonder too, because like some of this stuff is legitimately good, and some of it will eventually be done ethically and with proper data sources and things like that. So stuff like being able to provide very accurate real-time subtitles is, I think, one of the best things that could be done
Agreed.
with the current tech. Like, that is absolutely a goal that we should have and that we should be working towards. It's awesome. It just increases the ability for people to communicate. Super awesome. The other thing too is the AI voice stuff can be used to give people voices back, because they can build models from old recordings of their voice, and they can't talk now, but now they can use a computer with this technology and text to speech to be able to have some semblance of themselves back.
It also may help mute VTubers become more reactive. Because like I've seen a couple of mute VTubers who will take time to react to something because they have to put it into a text-to-speech device or something like that.
Yep.
Which, that's one of the great things about VTubing. It can help even people that don't have the ability to speak become streamers.
Yep.
But
Yep.
AI voices may help them become more live reactive to stuff that's happening, as opposed to taking like maybe 10 seconds to get a response out.
The other side of that, though, that I'm wondering about, and that we may start to see some symptoms of, is when people are VTubing or just doing online streaming and using a voice changer. And honestly, voice changers have been around for a very long time. The problem is, though, is that like if you were trying to do male to female voice specifically, they're just not good. They're just have traditionally been very bad, whereas the stuff that's available now has gotten significantly better. And what I'm wondering is, how much would that damage a voice training journey? Because essentially you can have a perfect version when you're in, when you're streaming or when you're in VR chat or whatever, but then when you leave that, you have this very imperfect version that you don't like. And the version you have in VR chat may not actually be attainable for your physiology.
I have said multiple times, there is a place for that. And the place for that may be to record yourself with the voice changer and listen to yourself back. And be like, okay, this is kind of what I want to sound like at like my 3-month goal. And I'll come back and listen to this later after I listen to an organic recording of myself. But relying on it solely, like if you're saying you want to go on a journey of training your voice and relying solely on a changer and never doing any practice yourself, is the same as just doing AI art. And that's not to discount what you're doing in that matter, but are you practicing or improving on your voice training, or are you just using this voice changer to sound different? There's nothing wrong with using one, in my opinion, but you should take a look at it and think to yourself, am I using this as a replacement for voice training, or am I using it to supplement my voice training?
Yeah,
that should be the healthy way to look at it.
And I forgot where I was going to go with it, but that is basically the crux of the issues. You have to keep that in mind. And if you're just doing that, knowing that that's what you're doing, that's fine. But I always just think about that situation of like, I wonder how many people are going to end up in this weird spot because of the instant fix kind of thought. This fixes everything, but the downside is not clear or isn't apparent and may not be apparent until you're a little ways into it kind of situation.
Yep. Oh. We're almost reached the hour and a half mark, actually. Wow. Time flies.
Mm-hmm.
Would anybody else like to, does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask? Any particular things they'd like to ask about Myers C's journey, or like any tips from people that have, I won't say professionals, because there's really no way to say I'm a professional talker. That's just a politician.
That's well, yeah, I mean, but that's technically a professional speaker.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I have no problems with the technology. The problem I have with it is with it being used to hurt. Yeah.
It's that thing of like all of the stuff that's going on with AI right now is it's a tool, and it's just a tool that's being used poorly and being used to abuse and hurt people, basically.
I think the worst I've seen AI's use has been, if there's professional speakers, does that mean there's professional subwoofers too? This is where I would do the like tish. But I think the worst I've seen AI be used is after the passing of Miura, the guy who was the artist for Berserk. Where his family was like, please let him rest in peace. We appreciate all the tributes. And then someone's like, I've trained this model to draw in his style to continue on his legacy. And people are just like, dude,
no.
You need to get off the internet before someone hurts you.
Yeah, fundamental misunderstanding. So Kyrop has asked if I would share the tale of my namesake, the last seahorse.
You know what? I'm interested to hear that.
So there are a few versions of it now. The most recent one is that I'm the last seahorse because I am the last thing that you will ever see if you cross me.
Drip music starts.
Yeah.
I'm the last thing that you'll ever see if you cross me.
No, it was originally, I went to play Fortnite and you needed to make a new account for Fortnite. And I was just like, I don't want to use my normal handle. I was like, it's Fortnite. I'm going to die a lot because that's the point. You die a lot. So what's going to make people feel bad when they kill me? And I was like, oh, I know, the last seahorse. Nobody wants to kill the last seahorse.
Oh, that's kind of messed up, and I love it.
And that's the official, like, real world, how it existed. But then the lore version is basically, which I did tie into Fortnite, although that's been kind of loose. But essentially, I am one of the last, or the last known to me, people of the Isle of Seahorse. And the joke is that the battle bus fell into the Isle of Seahorse and caused a catastrophic event that destroyed everything. But then basically I was out fishing because that's just what I was doing at the time, and went back, saw some things, and then just kind of was like, well, and turned my boat and just drove it in a direction, or sailed in a direction, until I ended up in the Pacific Northwest. And I decided to be a streamer in hopes that I might find some more members of the Isle of Seahorse.
Aww. I love hearing VTuber lore. I mean, you probably would guess this by my name, but I love stories.
Stories are good.
I had someone in my chat who was a member of my Discord server for 7 months. 7 months, mind you. And they went 7 full months of being on streams, being in the chat, being on the server, before they were like, oh, I get the name now.
I'm sorry to laugh and giggle because it's, but
No,
like,
I'm
yeah,
so
like
laughing
we've all
because
done
it's
stuff
so-
like that. We've all done stuff like
It's just
that.
so adorable.
Uh-huh.
And then I made it worse. I'm like, which of the 3 meanings did you get? Because there's index page, the index page of a book.
Mm-hmm.
There's the index. And you could be a page. I could be the page for the index, or I could just be the page to help you out through the library. Because there's multiple meanings to the name, at least. But the reason why I picked this name is because I wanted to encompass all the like stories and whatnot I have to share. Because I've kept a dream journal since the start of COVID, and I've been turning some of those ideas into full-fledged book ideas and now comic ideas. And I'm now at the point where I'm like, I want to start publishing and like putting out comics and be like, hey, I want people to see these worlds I've dreamt up. And that's kind of why I picked the name Index Page. And why my model is a dog-eared book.
I now get the dog ears. I didn't think about the pun on dog ears.
Oh yeah, also pro tip, never dog-ear your book. That's like scarring the paper.
Yeah. Yeah, no bookmarks exist for review. Okay, now there are multiple people in chat that are like, oh my god, I get it now.
I also have 3 bookmarks for Tales, because I can split into 3 volumes to cover more tasks in the library at once.
Nice. You have a very good design. It's very, very, very well put together.
Oh
I've
yeah,
always
the
been
art was
impressed with
done
it.
by the art was done by Seal Valkyrie, the model was done by Sarah Hanna, and the rigging was done by Ramune.
They did a good job.
Yeah, I adore this model so much. Oh, also, there's one thing about this model that I super duper like. We have a booba toggle.
Nice.
And of course,
Himbo mode.
Nice. Very nice.
okay, Kyrop, okay. Oh! There you go.
Oh!
Yes, I will on command. But
Yeah.
one quick thing to be back on topic. I hope today's podcast episode was helpful. And I can't thank you enough, C, and bringing some of your community on over to say hi and to help share this lesson. Hopefully YouTube doesn't DMCA any parts of this VOD, because when I've tried to do this in the past, some parts of the VODs would get DMCA claimed because Materia Music Publishing is Materia Music Publishing.
Oh no, you used. Oh no.
I didn't. I'm using a DMCA free playlist.
Okay, good.
But then Materia Music is like, actually, we have recently bought the rights to that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, you fuck. Then why is that on this DMCA free playlist?
DMCA free is a misnomer. There is no such thing as DMCA free. Anything could be claimed at any moment. So it's more about a DMCA resilient as of this date.
I think that's a good way to look at it. But yeah, I'm using a playlist that's currently DMCA resilient.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. But yeah, this will be up probably tomorrow if there's no bonks on it. And I really can't thank you enough for being here and helping get the podcast started again. Thank
Yeah,
you so
you're
much for
welcome.
sharing.
It's been fun.
For sharing your skills and all that, and sharing some of your story.
It's been a lot of fun, and I am glad that I got to do this.
Absolutely. Would you like to do one more quick little intro and talk about yourself, or if you're going to be continuing stream after this? Hi, it's Claire.
Yeah.
You want to come in?
I will do my introduction and a quick just like plug for my stuff. Hi, I'm the Last Seahorse. I'm a variety Vtuber, musician, and DJ. I stream here on Twitch 4 days a week. I maintain now a second channel on Twitch, DJ Seahorse, for all of my DJ activities. And I am also on YouTube at DJ Seahorse, where you can find various DJ mixes I've done, most of which are safe for use as background music for Twitch and possibly some other things. And they are, as I was just saying, DMCA resilient, and each of them is marked with a date of publication so that you have a better idea of when they were DMCA resilient. So, yeah.
John T. Hi, Mark. Oh, we're on a last name basis now? Oh, wait, Mark is your last name?
Yes, my first name is Book.
John T, I love you. But yeah, if you're in the chat and you don't already have that little purple heart turned green, please be sure to follow the Seahorse. They are an amazing person. They are a wonderful streamer, and I really look forward to their next stream. Are you going to be streaming after this?
No, Wednesdays are my quote day off, unquote.
I'm trying to start that myself, but I was happy to do this today because it's like this is something I really want to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
hi, Mark.
This is kind of one of those things of, this is why I say their quote a day off, unquote, is I save Wednesday as a day to schedule things like this and to also do, other work things that come up that need to get done, but I try to keep the day empty.
That's understandable. I think after this, I'm going to raid out into someone because I'm trying to save my voice for all day tomorrow. Because tomorrow I'm going to be playing The Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Ooh.
And doing some voice acting stream, probably later on in the evening, where we're going to be playing Monster Prom with a group, where we're doing voice acting for all the characters. Which is going to be hell of a time.
I've done that. Well, I've done that with a group of people where we got a group of people together to do all the voices, and that was a lot of fun.
That's always so much better.
And I was, as predicted, the narrator.
I can't wait to do my Surfer Bro narrator voice again.
Yo, that's like excellent stuff. Oh.
But see, thank you once again for being here, everyone. Can we get some wonderful index praises for see if you're already a part of the channel? I believe that's one of the follower emotes we have. It's always nice to have someone new stop on by the channel and always have someone fun to talk with. And YouTube, thank you for being here for this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Where next episode we're going to be having Renetta Cien and Penny Senseless. But for now, we'll see you later, YouTube. Bye-bye!